Three, two, one. All right, what's up, boys and girls? Here today with another update on the water deck. I just went to the Rosemount Regional this past weekend, or yesterday, and yeah, man, we got to experience water having to like actually fight in like the current format. And yeah, I definitely got humbled a little bit. I know the deck has its problems, but yeah, we definitely experienced some of those yesterday. But it taught me a lot. And so I just want to go over real quickly the list I played yesterday, and then I want to go over how I actually think I want to play the deck going forward. I learned a lot about the deck, and I learned a lot. Or I was able to more so admit to myself just problems that the deck has, and yeah, we'll just get in along the way. So real quick, I played basically a mono water deck, and this is a 41 card main. And so let's go over it real quickly. For starters, the typical three divas, three prince, the one for one, three dragoons, and three Arya. So this is 13 card starters. And the goal was maximize your chances of seeing Prince, or Dragoon access, with your discard outlets, or the fish engine, which I'll be getting into. And so these cards all did pretty well. I just noticed that I was opening multiples, but really the same glaring problem for the deck is just even less about the Aryas. I think I only opened like two Arya like one time. But really, where the deck seems to have its problems is the fact that we max out on the three diva and the three prince, and we always felt like we needed to, because we needed to maximize our chances of opening diva and prince because they're so strong cards. And while I still think prince is a mandatory 2 to 3 of this card, I don't think will be changing. Diva though. Diva just did not do well. I think the only times I ever actually resolved Diva was if it was a game was if it was like I got first and it was like turn 3, or if it was going into a board, and this was my last play. But I'm almost positive that every time I actually normal summon tried to resolve Diva, it would get interrupted, and it just felt like it wasn't. It just felt like it wasn't doing anything. And whenever I had Diva or Prince in my hand, or if I was able to get Dragoons or Deep Sea Arya off while having the Diva in hand, I was usually searching for the Prince, and I would just normal that because it's so much safer in the boards, because you can actually activate the effect to pay cost and resolve the effect. But with Diva, you run it on board and it gets Imperm, Veiler, Ash, and you're just like, well, cool, nice deck, and you just pass turn. And so I'm actually, and I'll be getting into why, but I'm actually going to be cutting. I think I'll be cutting Diva from my list. Maybe I'll be playing one copy, but I think Diva will need to leave, and I have a replacement for it. But yeah, I don't think this card it's just too vulnerable, and it doesn't give you. There's no bait here. There's no oh, I'm gonna send for cost of the prince. Do you still want to respond to it? And so your opponent's not sure how they want to handle it, or usually they'll let it go through because it feels so bad to use an interruption on your prince because you're still getting the cost off. But yeah, Diva just did not feel good, and I think I'm going to cut it moving forward. I'm going to try and learn how to play this deck without it, just because it's so vulnerable to hand traps. Like I said, I might still play one because if you're able to go into a board and it's your last card, it's definitely not bad. And obviously, Diva is a super powerful card. But there, I also just seeing too many hands where I was opening, multiple divas and princes, and it just felt very clunky. And yeah, so I'll be going over what I actually want to replace this with. But yeah, Diva did not do too well yesterday, just because there's so many hand traps flying around. I will say Diva does play really well in its role because you can at least summon from your deck, but it doesn't really give the deck too much. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be playing the Divas moving forward, or at least I'm going to be testing out other engine concepts. And so yeah, we'll just keep moving on to like with the engine I was really trying to test out yesterday, was the White Aura engine. And so what this consisted of is basically we're playing a 13 card engine for this, which is a very heavy engine. And yeah, we're playing the white aura cards, and so basically we're maxing out on the sardines, the sunfishes, the reincarnations, which is basically a search spell for your sardine and sunfish, and then abyss sharks. Your abyss sharks are not only an extender, getting you to your pikes, but they also get you to also just a free body on board. But they also get you to your sunfish. So the concept going into yesterday was if you can open any two cards from this combination of 12, you'd be able to go into your fish combos. You'd be able to get a toad on board before you do your normal summon. And if you specifically open like these two in combination, then you can get a toad negate before without even getting drolled. And so with the fish cards, what I noticed was basically um, the fish cards are great. They actually do really well going into boards, and they're really good at spamming the board as well. You get a lot of monsters on board, and these cards also do play pretty decently well. For what it is into droll, because once you make your if you have like a sardine, you go sardine summon, and then you go abyss shark, or you go Y incarnation to get your sunfish or missing sardine, and then you get drolled there. You can. I was usually able to end the two times actually it did happen yesterday in the regional. I was able to go like toad dweller. Or Toad, or at least go like Toad Lacia with like an infantry in hand, which is like it's not great, but it's under droll and it's the best. It's the best that I could do. And yeah, I'll go. I might go into this engine a little bit more, or at least some of the combos with it after the profile. But the main issue with this engine was that it doesn't get you to Prince or Diva access at all. But what it does do is an engine that I noticed was working really well with the Atlantean cards, where the Atlantean cards with Lapis Dragon with either Diva or Prince can get you into your fish cards, and so you didn't even need to open any fishes to get to your pike, and which I'll be going over soon. But yeah, this engine did really well. It felt a little clunky at times trying to mix with all the Atlantean DC Diva cards. They didn't function, or they didn't blend as well as I was hoping. But I think I have a way to. I think I actually have a way to where these cards will actually be the main engine for the deck moving forward. Because I think I have a way where I can actually bridge. I can actually bridge the archetypes where the fish cards can actually get you to your prince without opening any dragoons, any prince, any diva. But we'll be going over that after this profile. But yeah, so the fish cards did really well playing into boards. Because they turn on level 8 synchro access. They can even get to the Ice Age synchro. They can get you to Toad before you start playing. And the fish cards were baiting out a lot of the hand traps, which is also really cool. And these cards make it so easy to go into Atlantis because you're just spamming the board with waters, where before you were kind of limited to like, did you open like the right discard cards? And that was another issue with the deck, whereas like you always had to open these perfect hands of like Teus or Ice Jade with Dragoons, and like if you didn't have these cards, then you just weren't playing the game. But yeah, the fish cards are really well, but just on their own, but did not blend too well with the mixture of like mermails and like. And I tried to just put the fish. I tried to just put the fish engine in the standard Atlantean deck, and it just seemed like it wasn't. I hadn't had enough time to like really prepare and like really find like the best way to play this deck. But I think afterwards I have something in mind now. But yeah, continuing on, discard outlets. I'd minimized this because I was trying to keep the deck as close to 40 as possible. And so I figured that with Taste being searchable, and me really only wanting to open the one, I didn't want to maximize on the 3, and so I chose to go 2 and 2 for the Ice Shade and Teus, because I figured I really just want to be able to open one of these, and that will end that. And if I can just open one of these with the Dragoons, that would get me there. I only played one Megalo. That was a mistake, and I noticed it almost every single match. It came up to where with this list, I noticed I was searching off of Dragoons almost more than I normally do. Maybe it was just like opening the right hands, but I just noticed that there were plenty of times where I was able to search other Sea Serpents or additional Sea Serpents, and the second Megalo was coming up to finish game every time. And I know that I always say that you need to play Megalo too, and I didn't, and I don't know why, but that was a mistake. And I only have one Minstrel in the main currently. I was citing the second and third Minstrel because I wanted to main some type of non-engine if I was losing the die roll. I would, and so I don't know with the minstrels how I want to handle these going forward. Maybe I might still play them. I might just side them. I might still main them. But you'll see why when I go over the new list and kind of like what I'm thinking about. But minstrel did really well. It was really nice being able to like recycle, the Atlantean cards when summoned off of an enemy or diva, and and there were a few times where I did open this card, or in games 2 and 3, when I put the additional copies in, it was nice to snipe the hand traps, and that is really important for the deck. And I would say it's even more important when you're trying to use diva, because if you don't look at the hand, it just felt so scary normally diva in any board, and so you kind of need a minstrel if you wanted to have any opportunity of actually normaling and resolving diva. But yeah, this is all I played, and that was just it was fine. It wasn't. Besides not playing the 2 Megalo, it was like it was fine. And then for our just additional engine slots, played the 1 Lapis. You play Lapis now to actually go into your Goaty combos and to get the fish card access. And then also just being a great extender. It was a great card. We played Pike Gund. We played Pike because Pike is searched off of our fish engine when we don't open the Teus, which basically guaranteed us our rank 4 play with almost any playable hand. We had Gund as another target other than Minstrel for our level 3 search off of Pike, and you would, and it also helped that and so also if you open the Teus and the fish cards, you could use your Teus to search the Gun right away, and then you could use your fish cards to search the Pike, and then Pike can search your Minstrel, and so that's kind of what that was the goal. I was minimizing the search targets so I could try and fit the deck to the 40 cards, as close to 40 cards as possible. The 41st card really in the deck was the 2nd Infantry. I was actually gonna play a 40 card deck list and play 1 Infantry and just try and recycle the second one with the Minstrel. But I'm very happy I did not do that, because once again, obviously, it comes up to where almost every single turn, especially playing into boards, when you're resolving cards like Arya and you're trying to play through your opponent's board, the 2nd Infantry always came up. Also as a follow up with the Lacia. If you want to set up a 2nd Infantry pop, if it was a slower game, that was important too. And yeah, Infantry felt really good. And I go between playing 1 to play 2 to 3. This thing never won. The pop did come up a lot though. It was very good. And then obviously the 1 scale, you play it whether you're going first or second. You never side it out, because just getting that damage on Megalo is so important, and it just feels better when you're just just getting more card advantaging, and even opening the scale wasn't that bad, because if you open the scale but you're able to get Delacia under Droll, having the scale hard open wasn't even that bad, because it just offers another negate. And then for our only non-engine, we actually just played a 3 Droll. I knew I wasn't going to be able to fit a lot of non-engine in the deck, and I was really thinking between whether I wanted to side the Drolls and just have basically a going first build, which is all engine, to maximize consistency. And if I would have done that, it would have been two Minstrels and then a call by, and so I would just had all going first cards, and then I would just try and break the boards with my engine if I was forced to go second. But I knew that I wasn't be able to play a lot of non-engine, so I was just playing the 3 Drolls. And the Drolls did obviously come up. Droll's a crazy card. It's a really good card right now. It did skip a couple turns for me. Versus Dino I played against, versus Tearlament I played against, versus Vanadium as well. The Drolls came in clutch there, and I plan on maining them again. But yeah, so that was the 41 card main. And then on to the extra deck. I played Atlantis and 2 Coral Enemies. But really, it's just standard. It's 1 Coral Enemy for your first turn combo as you're trying to establish a board, and you need to play with the fish cards. Coral Enemy is even stronger now because she's able to revive your Sunfish or Sardine from your graveyard and make them tuners. And being able to revive a level 4 for your rank 4 plays was relevant, and being able to revive your Sardine to make a level 2 tuner was also pretty relevant. And then so yeah, we did play 2, and the Atlantis came up a bunch. Atlantis was insane. I was clearing Vanadium boards with this. I banished our whole field. I was clearing Kashtira boards with the Atlantis. I was clearing Vanquish Soul with this. Yeah, Zealantis did a great job, and I definitely plan on playing this again. Additionally, we played our one Lacia and a one Biskeeper, and this is it for our links. If you play Keeper for your fish combos, to summon Pike from hand. You could also summon other cards like if you like hard opened the Pisces, you could special your Pisces off of the Abyss Keeper, and there are pretty cool plays where if you special if you're playing into a board and you hard open the Pisces, you can go like Abyss Keeper, special your Pisces, and then if you have extra fishes in rotation, you can go like Pisces effect to search for a fish. On resolution, banish another fish. And then you can go like Abyss Keeper effect, where it has an effect where you can target one fish you control other than himself, and then a card your opponent controls and banish it. And this did come up as well, where I would banish the Pisces, and then to banish a card my opponent controlled. And then I could use Pisces effect to, if I only had Abyss Keeper, to special back the Pisces and then banish the Abyss Keeper, so I had a card that could be used as a link material to keep linking into cards like Zealantis and other cards. And so that was pretty relevant. That was pretty cool. And then Lacia, you just play it. You play it because it's good under Droll. The revival effect had never come up so much. Players did not know how to deal with this, and so they would just trigger it, and I would be able to send. I would send like infantries or dragoons for follow-up or for a pop. I would revive the minstrel, and then the minstrel would, it would send more waters, and then it would give me more cards like bodies that my opponent had to like play through, or it would send infantries to pop more cards, or dragoons for additional follow-up. So that was pretty cool. Also, while putting waters back in my deck, so that way I had more gas back in the deck. For Xyz, we played Gaios because we're playing the Mermail cards, like the Teuses, and Gaios also does really well when you don't really open deep sea Atlantean cards, Dragoons, but you do open like the Ice Jade Ran and the Teus. You could usually get a combo off where you would get your Teus in graveyard, and then you would use like your Ice Jade to like discard a gun to summon itself. It would summon back the Teus, and then you could and then after you make your Ice Jade Synchro Gamir, you could summon back the Ice Jade off of an enemy, and then you could rank your Teus and Ran into a Gaios. So that where there were times where I was opening really clunky hands, I was still ending on like Gamir Gaios, and that would really be it. But that was just a problem with the deck was if you don't open your Atlantean deep sea card, Deep Sea Diva, or Dragoons, then you're just stuck to play minimal boards, and so that was the best I would be able to create at the time. But yeah, so that was something I noticed, and but it was nice being able to like make that. But yeah, so Gaios was strong. Obviously the gate was strong. Also Gaios does really really well against like Kashtira, because they'll special Fenrir, and Fenrir will have its effects negated if they try and trigger it. Also they can't attack with the Fenrir, so it just kind of locks them out of playing until they have anything else that's threatening on board. And then we played Dweller, Bahamut, Toad. I was actually playing with like double Bahamut, double Toad, but it was just taking up too much extra deck space. And I noticed that with the fish cards in rotation, I would usually be able to end on Bahamut Toad, or Bahamut Dweller, or Toad Dweller, sorry. And yeah, so that was okay. And the Dweller, it did some work, and it was mainly here to worry about like fire decks, Tier Limit, which I did place against Tier Limit, and that did come up. It was pretty cool. But I noticed that overall, a lot of my combos that I was preparing for were enemy on both these cards on full combo, but I really wasn't able to go full combo very often just because I was getting interrupted at the Atlantean cards and the Diva card, because they're fragile points, and my deck really wasn't going off unless I was getting to those and I was opening clunky hands to where it was either Atlantean cards or it was the fish cards, and very rarely was it a mixture of both when I was going first, at least. But these cards perform well. The Dweller didn't come up as much as I thought it would, but it's still a good choice going forward, especially because you have more rank 4 access because of the fish cards. Next for synchros, we played the Gamir because we played the Ice Jade synchro. We played Ice Jade Ran. If I wasn't playing Ran, I would actually debate cutting this, just because I don't think it'll be coming up as often. But yeah, with the Ice Jade Ran in the deck, this is a great card, and this card's awesome going second into a board, because once you put this up, it's a crazy threat to your opponent, because you could usually, if they had like the fire princess link in their graveyard, you could respond to that with this to banish it, so they can't get their trigger to pop. And then being able to protect your board from destruction and banishing effects was just insane. It came up all day, and so this was really strong going second into boards. And that was the only level 10 I played, because this is not a level 10 focused deck. I wasn't playing cards like Little Knight or Baron. For our level 8 synchros, we play basically one for going first, one for going second. Played the Dragite for Spell Trap Negate. This came up quite a few times, and so did the White Aura Whale. Basically, if they felt like your fish cards weren't threatening, you'd want to go into the whale to basically board wipe them, and this would always require an interruption before you made your normal summon. And yeah, the White Aura Whale did really well, and it helped with OTKs. And then we played White Aura Porpoise basically as our going second 6, and we played the Serpent Goatee as our going first 6. You basically go into this to start your combos if you didn't open your pike, and what you would basically do is you would banish the Pisces, and then you would banish any fish on board or from your graveyard or hand. Especially the Pisces, you'd search like a bit and then you would search your Abyss Shark, or you would search your pike if you already had the shark in rotation, and it would just get you to your rank 4 place. Also, just providing you buys on board, and a lot of the times we were synchroing this off afterwards to get our Dragite with a card like either Sardine if it's level 2 tuner, or with our Diva we would synchro this off to make the Dragite, or Whale if we were going second. And then Porpoise was also pretty strong as like a going second card, just because it would bring multiple bodies back to the board. This because what this card reads is it can on summon, it'll summon a fish level 4, or I think it's level 4. Yeah, it's a level 4 lower fish from your hand or graveyard, and then if you have another copy of that in your graveyard, you can summon that as well. So if you had like a sunfish in your hand, a sunfish in your grave, you could go Porpoise effect, summon sunfish from your hand, and then summon one from your graveyard, and this can get you rank 4. The tuner you summon from your graveyard could be used to synchro into Gamir. Or if you're doing this, which did come up like with the Sardines, then you were summoning your Whale or Dragite. And so this card did pretty well. I was definitely happy with it. Like I said, the fish cards did really well playing yesterday. Just offering a lot of bodies, a lot of card advantage. And then I was playing the Crystron Quadrax as a level 4 for the Toad combo with the fish cards before you normal summon. And basically what that combo would look like is if you open any combination of outside of a Pisces, any combination of like these two cards in your opening hand would basically mean Toad. Because let's say we open these two right here, you go Sardine effect to send as cost. You would send a Sardine from your hand to graveyard, or from your deck to graveyard, to special this Sardine. And then if you open the Sunfish, you would use Sunfish effect to target your Sardine on field and grave. It would special your Sunfish, then special the Sardine from your graveyard. This Sardine would become a tuner, and then we could synchro these off. Make your Quadrax, and then here we could rank 4 into our Bahamut or Dweller, and then we could just detach, special your Totally Awesome, and now you have fish in your graveyard to banish off the Pisces. You have a water, multiple waters you can banish off of Aria to then go search for the cards you needed. And this is basically my game plan going into the regional yesterday. It only actually came up one time where I managed to open like the Toad combo with a normal summon, or with Atlantean Diva access. That was more likely just unlucky hands, or playing into Droll. And so it's not a bad combo. It's just it was an unlucky day in trying to resolve this, and it was a little limiting. But yeah, so that was kind of like the extra deck. And then for side deck, I was playing 3 of the water kaijus, because which did come up quite a bit. Being able to tribute one of my opponent's monsters and then eventually use it for the Zealantis to summon it back to my field to go for game was pretty relevant. And since it's a water, you can just discard it if you have multiple copies. Not to mention, if you have multiple copies and you kaiju one of their monsters, you can special one of your own to your field, just as another water extender. And so the kaijus did pretty well. I did notice that when I was actually trying to side in and out cards, I was really only able to side in to the kaijus, because another side deck card I was playing when going second. But yeah, the kaijus did do really well, and I will definitely try to be fitting that in the future. For going first, I was basically taking out, if if I needed to, I would take out the drolls, or I was taking out some of like the fish cards and just kind of trying to focus on like the minstrel and call by, because hitting the droll was really important. I was getting drolled quite a few times, and these cards probably needed to be in the main somewhere. And maybe if I went back, I actually would have made these instead of the drolls, and just commit to having a better going first deck than worrying about trying to have something as defense. Just because the deck was playing so much engine that it was unlikely that you'd be opening the droll consistently. But I did like these cards, and they were always going in first every time. I played 3 Cosmics as kind of like the flex spot. I really didn't know what I wanted to play here, but I wanted something to hit like Fire King Island. I wanted something to be able to hit back row decks, whether it was Rescue Ace or if it was Labyrinth. I wanted options there. Also going first, this card can be good, which I never did, but in theory it is good. I'm setting this card against like Vanadium to hit the field spells, or even Fire King hitting their field spell. Or like the regular fire decks hitting like the cards they set from Black Witch, or hitting like Populous if it's put back in the back row, or the IP Masquerena if they put it in their back row. You could hit this like in the draw phase to banish it, or when they activate the effect to summon the Masquerena, you could chain and banish it that way. And so in theory this card was good. I actually never put it in my deck for any matchups, and I don't know if I played again. And so this card was one of the MVPs. We played 3 evenlies. And yeah, this card was crazy. And so basically when I was going second, I was really just putting in like these 5 cards. This is what I noticed I could fit. And yeah, it went off. Yeah, evenly was great. I'd definitely play it again. The board wipes were insane, and there weren't a lot of decks that could like actually have like hard negations for this. And the one time that I was playing into a Vanadium board, I actually opened 2 of these. So I would go like evenly, and they go Baron negate, and then I would go second evenly and just clear their board. Yeah, the evenlies did really well. MVP in the side. And then we played anti-spells as our floodgate of choice. We don't play a lot of spells in this deck, and so any deck that was like playing a lot of spells, I would put in the anti-spells, hoping to shut them down. I never actually saw this card out of all the times I went first, but I would probably play it again. Anti-spells were, in theory, really strong and would shut down a lot of the matchups that I played against. And so yeah, that was the deck I played. It did not so good, but it was a learning experience trying to figure out how the fish cards did and how they functioned with the rest of the deck. And I basically took yesterday as a learning experience, and I realized that while the Atlantean cards would get me to the fish engine, and basically that was done by, let's say you go like normal diva, or prince, and then you go special prince. You would go prince effect to send Dragoons, to add Dragoons, and then Dragoons in your graveyard would add your Lapis Dragon. Then you would go special Lapis, and then you could synchro these 2 off to make your Serpent Goatee. And then if you had no other fishes in rotation, you weren't even activating your Serpent effect. If you had other fishes, then you'd be able to go further, and usually you would open one of your 13 or 12 fishes. But in this instance, you could just simply go synchro with the Diva and Serpent into Dragite, and then the Serpent effect would activate. Since it was used as a synchro material, you could banish it from your graveyard to add a fish with a level equal to or less than the monster you banished. And so off of this, we were banishing, or we were adding Abyss Keeper, or Abyss Shark. Abyss Shark would then add, it would add, where is it? It would add your Pike. And then so if you had any other water body, you would just, which typically I did, you would then link off your Abyss Shark and your another water extender that you had into Abyss Keeper. Because really this could be done by opening if you open any of these fishes, you'll get your Pisces on the field as another water body. So if you open like a sunfish in your hand, you actually would use the Serpent effect, and you would banish this from your hand. And then that would get you your Pisces on field, but you wouldn't search with it because you'd be using it. You would just be using it as a body. You would still do the synchro off play to add your Abyss Shark, and then so your Abyss Shark would summon. You'd have like this would be what the board would look like. This will get you your pike, and then you could link these off. And you'd always want to try and get this in the graveyard, so that way on follow-up turns you could banish this off of like Arya to put it back in rotation, get it back on field, do another search, and yeah, and so this will get you into your Abyss Keeper. Abyss Keeper would special pike from your hand. Pike would send Dragoons, and this would add you your Minstrel, and it would add your Prince, and then you could go Minstrel, discard the Prince. And this would special your Dragoons from graveyard, and this would get your rank 4 play into a Toad, and then so now you'd have 2 negates, and then you would try and line up a Megalo line using the Megalo and Bahamut, using your Megalo and Bahamut to link into your Alacia, and so your board would hopefully end something like this with an infantry in hand. And so this was kind of like the end board I was going for, with minimal engine cards, with like the least amount of resources. But so yeah, so this was kind of like the line of play. And so what was really cool about this was like I showed, the Atlantean cards did a really good job of getting into the fish engine, but the fish engine did not help me at all getting into the Atlantean cards. And so I thought a lot about this after the tournament, and I thought a lot about what I wanted to do going forward. And basically, what I got to was what I noticed was that the best way to resolve Prince was never by normaling Prince or normaling Diva. The best way to resolve Prince was always doing off a Coral Enemy by getting Prince into your graveyard first, triggering its effect, or not. You really just want to get in the graveyard so you can summon off the end enemy, being able to use your normal summon for something else, and then you would activate Prince that way. All right, so now I just want to show how I think I want to be handling the deck going forward. Like I said, I don't actually want to be playing the Divas anymore. I think they just don't do enough, and pass interruptions, because it's so easy and obvious to anyone playing against the deck to actually just respond to this. If they didn't know what the water cards did, they knew, oh, I should probably hit this and I'll do something, and they would get, and it would stop my turn almost every time, because Diva getting interrupted leaves you with nothing on board, where Prince would at least allow you to continue playing. And so what I want to do plan on going forward is playing around focusing on the fish engine more, and yeah, and so this combo line right here, well, yes, we open the Dragoons. You don't actually have to open the Dragoons for this combo to get to the Atlantean engine. But yeah, here it is real quick. So basically, you'd go Sardine effect, special Sardine from your field by sending one to your grave for costs, which is also really nice, because then even if they interrupt this or do anything here, this will just give you a free water grave to banish off of Arya to search. Without having to have other waters on board, or discarding random waters from your hand, like using the Taste or Ice Jade, which is another problem with the deck, where you'd be discarding waters that you didn't like, or that you wanted to keep but you had to get rid of if you wanted to get to Prince Diva access, Dragoons access as well. And so then we'll go Sunfish effect, targeting our Sardines. So it's a special to Sunfish, special to Sardine from your graveyard, and the Sardine will become a tuner. And then what I plan on doing is synchroing these off into your Serpent Goatee, and now the Serpent Goatee effect will activate. And so what this will do is we will banish the Pisces from our deck, and then Pisces effect will activate. We'll banish one of the Sardines from our graveyard, and then special the Pisces to our field. Pisces effect will then activate on summon. This is going to add us our Abyss Shark. Then banishing the Pisces. I don't know if I want to be banishing banishing the Serpent. I don't know if I want to banish the Serpent off of this, or if I want to banish the Sardine yet. So just kind of work on the combo. Maybe it's actually better. I think I like having the Sardine, so that way I have 2 in flotation, with this third copy still in my deck for like a Porpoise. Or if I want to be able to trigger this card again, getting it back to my deck, and be able to activate it and resolve it again. That's the theory on why I'm banishing Serpent. But yeah, so Pisces will get us a Abyss Shark, banishing the Serpent from our field, our resolution, and then we'll go Shark, and Shark will then add Pike. Because we control water, we can special this, and then adds a level 4 fish from our deck. And here we're then going to go link these two off into our Abyss Keeper. And now Abyss Keeper effect will activate, specialing the Pike from our hand, and then Pike will discard Dragoons. And so what we're going to be adding here from now on is we're going to be adding Genix Undine, which I think will be the new, better normal summon for the deck. It's unfortunate that we need to play bricks with this, but I actually think the Genix Undine engine is really strong. And yeah, so we'll go over how it works with this combo. And so as you can see, this is our searchable line into Prince. We did not have this before, but Undine does give us that option. And so Pike will be then adding, or Pike will be adding the Genix Undine, and then Dragoon's effect in Graveyard will activate. And this will get us, for here's sake, we'll grab Megalo here. And so if we have other waters in our hand, and then we have further extenders here. But what's really nice about this is that there's been no clear point for our opponent to interrupt, and if they interrupt any of these plays, then that's less cards they're using on our actual normal summon, because we still have not normal summoned yet. So at any point, if they interrupt us, then we can just start, using our Deep Sea Arias, normaling Prince, hard opening the Undine and normaling it. All these options get us into our Atlantean engine. And so what we're doing here is that we're then going to normal Genix Undine. And Undine effects and activate, sending Prince for cost. If they cannot stop this, and this will then add us our controller. If they choose to respond to this, then we'll gladly keep this card in our deck for follow-up Undines if we're playing multiples. I still haven't decided if I want to play multiples yet. I think I do. Because basically the idea here is that if they try and stop us at any of these points, then we hard open the Undine, then all this is just bait for our actual normal summon. But yeah, so this will be sending Prince as cost to add the controller, and then on a new chain, Prince will activate, and this will special back our Dragoons. And now we can rank into our Bahamut, and then we can go Bahamut effect, special Toad. And so now we have our Toad on field. Before we would normal summon, but we still have not actually resolved Prince yet. And so now, as long as we have extenders, we can, whether it's the Ice Jade or Megalo or other waters, we can still go into the enemy to then special the Prince from our graveyard. And so our Dragoon's effect that we just used, Dragoons that we sent with Bahamut will now activate, and this will search as our Lapis. And now Lapis will reveal in our hand as special. And so what we can do here is we can link these two off into our Dragite. So now we have further interruptions. So even if they do try and do anything to us here, we have the totally awesome to negate any further interruptions, like an Ash, Valor, Nib. And then if they have a card like Imperm, then for our enemy or Prince, then we have the Dragite as a defense for that as well. And I'm sorry. We used the Bahamut and the Sardine to make an enemy, and then we synchro these off because we have a 5 and a 3, and this gets us our Dragite. And so this is the actual game plan. Me silly. So now we can go on enemy effect, special Prince from our graveyard, and now we can actually resolve and activate Prince, and we have full defense for it. So we'll send Dragoons, and we will add Dragoons, and then Dragoons effect engrave. This can get us in this combo line. We're actually just gonna grab our infantry here. And the reason we're doing this is so that way is because we can get the infantry back in our hand with the Toad effect, assuming we have no other waters, and we're going to actually use the Dragoons that we have in our hand to search for follow-up. So now we can go Megalo, discard 2 waters here, and then we'll go mandatory effects, chain link 1 infantry, chain link 2 Dragoons, and then chain link 3 Megalo. So Megalo is going to search our scale. Dragoons is going to search a follow-up Prince. Or an infantry if you already have a follow-up Prince and you want to have that pop ready to go, because then we will be linking these off, and especially in Lacia. And I actually did mess this up. What we actually want to plan for is having the Toad in the middle column, and we want to plan for having the Lacia here, so that way we have a link. We have a link arrow availability, so that way the enemy can trigger on the follow up if it lives. Also, we don't want to put monsters in any open zone to our opponent's extra monster zone, because they can use anima to take any monster here. So we're trying to dodge having to use this zone as well for that reason. So this would basically be the end board, and so this would get you 4 interruptions here, because you'd have an Omni negate with the Toad, and then the Toad will get you back your infantry. We have a spell negate, there's 2 interruptions, a spell and trap negate from our Dragite, and then we have a pop with the Lacia, being able to search either a Teus or a second, which we should be playing and we will be playing, or our second Megalo. So this will basically get us follow up for next turn, one or the other. You honestly don't even need to play Teus. And so our follow up will look something. Well, oh, the glare is horrible. Yeah. All right. So this will be the board state we end on going first. We would have 2 additional cards in our hand, which can be non-engine extenders, and then we would draw for turn. And now we kind of have 6 cards ready, with potentially still a board on board. And as long as our top deck or another card in our hand is just another water, then we have our second Megalo access, being able to discard Prince or normally the Prince, baiting cards to the enemy. We could also just shotgun the enemy almost into anything. We could you could just go an enemy effect, special Sardine, and then we can use Abyss Keeper's effect to banish the Sardine, and then banish a card our opponent controls, and then right away, whether you were using any of these 2 links, probably using these 2, we can then go into our Zealantis, and then we can banish the field, special everything back, have the enemy and Zealantis co-linked, and now as long as we have a second water in our hand to discard off the Megalo, we now have send a water, send Prince. Prince can then special back Dragoons. Megalo contribute Dragoons for a double attack, and there you go. And so there's our kind of follow-up OTK for the board, for the deck. And yeah, so that's kind of what we're working with. More info to come on how I actually want to build the deck for this. I really do feel like this should be able to give us a little bit more non-engine space, and I feel like this will be really strong playing into hand traps going first or second, because we have so many more cards to bait. Because all we need to do is just, as long as you open your fish cards and some mixture of either Undine or Arya or Prince, the moment that our opponent had interrupted with enough of our plays, we'll then have a follow-up starter. Because if they stop us trying to get to the Undine, we potentially just hard normal it, or we hard normal the Prince, or we Arya to then either grab a Dragoons into Prince, or just grab Prince right away, and this just keeps us very safe in playing into hand traps other than Droll. Because outside of very unlike Diva, where Diva just gets stopped and then your plays end. And so this is kind of what I'm working on at the moment. Give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Like I said, more info, more videos to come on how the Undine engine feels. What I'm thinking right now is I might actually want to be playing 3 the Undine, and then like 2 controllers, because once you play controller, it does give you access into other engines. Like if your follow up is weak, you can still go into like Undine with any card, and then make a Dark Charmer, take one of their dark monsters, go into access code or go into other combo plays. We can also start playing Allure of Darkness now, because since we'll really be hard opening Undine sometimes, or searching it, we'll be able to banish the Gen X controller from our hand with the Allure of Darkness to draw cards, which this deck is not able to do before. And yeah, so that's really it. Peace.